Dear Tenure Committee, I think I might know a little something about whether Bruce is worth keeping. He is, but the longer answer goes something like this.
What originally got me into photography, in 7th grade, a friend of mine got a Nikon FM camera, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. And he was taking pictures like crazy. And my parents had given me some money to buy a gift, and I wanted to get one of two things. Either a camera, just like my friends, or a motorized go-kart. And I drew these plans up of how we were going to rip up our front yard and make it into an international raceway for go-karts. And my parents looked at the plans and thought, that camera is a really good idea.
Bruce and I met working as journalists about 20 years ago and have been colleagues, partners, and confidants since. As the person on the planet who knows him better than anyone, I can confirm a few things you might otherwise only suspect. For one, what you see is what you get. He really is that kind. He really is that good with people and really does smile that much, really.
I would say primarily it's his drive to photograph every place on the planet and like every nook and cranny in the world. He has been to 65 countries, and that in and of itself says how much he cares about people in other countries, how much he wants to tell stories.
I can also tell you he is a driven, hardworking, fearless, and gently relentless visionary who boldly explores the terrain as if no were meaningless.
Even while I've been here at SU, I've been able to travel and work on different kinds of projects. In the time I've been here, I've been in South Sudan twice. I've been in Armenia twice. I've been in Liberia, Haiti, Mongolia, Chile. I taught for a little while photography in Spain and travel around the Middle East. I can't remember the last time I was bored.
On top of that, he's a natural collaborator who instinctively invites others into his can-do world.
Bruce's best characteristic is a tough one to nail down. His ability to make people feel welcome and excited to stretch beyond their own abilities.
You also might have noticed that Bruce is an extraordinary teacher, and to say he has left a long trail of students who adore him is not far from the truth. Students are drawn to him because they trust him, because they know he cares.
He was easily the driving force in my transition process. He outlined for me everything I needed to do. He helped me in writing a recommendation letter. He told me, he was like, if you want to be a photojournalist, like you need to go like this. And that was like everything I could have imagined and more. It was so helpful.
Quite a few would tell you he changed them for the better in ways that had nothing to do with photography or multimedia. He helps them with that too. And he cheers them on, believing in them more than they believe in themselves, pushing them to grow and stretch as communicators, encouraging them to embrace their voice and their passions and make the difference for which only they are uniquely suited.
He came into my Com 107 lecture and gave this seamless lecture about visual storytelling and how important it is to be a visual storyteller and how we're all visual storytellers without even knowing it.
Think of yourself as a visual communicator rather than just a photographer or just a videographer or just whatever, because I think that the world has changed such that now the tools are easy enough to use that you can use a variety of tools to communicate. And really what it depends on is not what button to push, but what do you have to say? What is it that you want to communicate? And then you think, what medium is that best communicated through? And you use the tools that are available as a visual communicator to get the idea across, to make somebody feel something. It's not just about documenting a place I was in or the person I met, but rather creating imagery that makes the viewer feel what you felt when you were there. If you can move from documentation to making that kind of imagery, that's so much more powerful and so much more relevant in our world.
Through example, he has a natural gift to inspire others to excel. That's a beautiful thing. I'm grateful to be in a department with him leading the way.
It's no wonder Bruce has a loyal band of admirers, me among them.
I've been fortunate. I've been in the White House with the president. I've been on the field at the Super Bowl and behind the scenes at the Academy Awards and the gangbangers and drug dealers in LA. And I met Redmond Hillary near Everest in Nepal and all these different places. But really, when I think for me, the one that means the most probably comes back to the picture of my grandmother kissing my grandfather on the head. Because in her kiss, there is a sense of love. And there is a feeling of connection, even though he's dying. Her love and care is so strong, and to me, ultimately we're all dying, minute by minute, day by day, right? But yet we push into life to live it as fully as possible, and a big part of that is the idea that we have hope in so many different things, and that love tends to be the one driver that can connect us as humans. And the connection there is not just, her, but for me that's also part of my family and part of my history. And so I don't know if it's the best picture I've ever taken, but it's one of the most important to me.